Hey everybody, welcome to this video. This video is marketing for lease options. Well, it's technically marketing for the right buyer for your lease options, right? But let me just say, first, if you like what you see, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, get the information, see what we do. There's a podcast that we do on a weekly basis as well. It's called Real Estate 360. The video version of it is here on the channel, and you can listen to it, subscribe to it on whatever platform that you listen to your podcast on. Subscribe to it, listen to it on your drive to work or moving around the city that you live in or while you're working out, whatever. Great information. So this video is all about how you're going to market for the right kind of buyers for your lease options, right? How are you going to get the right tenant in there? How are you going to market for them? How are you going to show it to them? What are you going to do? So I'm going to walk you through that process right now. But first, let's get to the intro. I'll see you in 10. Peace. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for seeing this video. I appreciate the time that you're taking to watch this video. So we're going to talk today a little bit about finding the right buyers for your lease option deals, right? They're your tenants, but they're buyers of the house. So you're not going to have to do a bunch of stuff like we talked about in the last video. You're not going to have to come and fix things and do this, that, and the other. It's up to them. They're the homeowners at this point. So how do you find them? What are you looking for? What are your marketing strategies, right? This is marketing. And as I've told you all before, I cannot write. Very difficult to write on these chalkboards, on these whiteboards. So we'll just get to it. One of the most important things that you're going to do once you've got this property is market. You have to be able to tell people that you have something for them so they can come and buy it from you in the manner in which you are selling it. So you've got the property, you've done the deal with the owner, you've done a lease purchase, a lease option for yourself, and now you're doing what we call a sandwich lease option. You have one side of the sandwich, this side of the bread, they have the other side of the sandwich, that side of the bread. Now, you need to get them in. So what do? What are your channels? The very first thing that you're going to do is put signs in the yard, right? Signs, right? Let's see here. Number one. Signs. Now, these signs are going to tell people what you have. They're going to say, hey, listen, I've got a property here for sale by owner. You can put that on there. You could say owner financing, rent to own, your job is your credit, these kinds of things. You want to get people that have money, but maybe they don't have the ability credit-wise to buy right now. Maybe they've been fixing their credit and it's just not quite there yet. And they're tired of renting. They don't want to do another lease, another rental agreement because they can't live the way they want to live. They can't, maybe they're in an apartment, they can't have so many people over and they can't have pets and, the list goes on and on. So you're giving them this option, right? So when you put these signs, in the yard, you want to put multiple signs in the yard, not just one, right? One is fine, but you want to have, I'd say 3 or 4. And we definitely put one in the window, one big one in the window so they can see it. Now we keep curtains up so they can't see inside the house. I don't want people to do that. I don't want people walking up and, peering in the windows, and I don't want people to do that. So I want people to call. So there's a telephone number on every one of the signs. So I'm putting 2 signs in the front that face the street, and then another 2 signs that are angling in towards the other ones, as well as one in the window, one big one. And I use 18 by 24 inch boards because they're big. Forget those little for sale signs that you get, at whatever store that you put in the window of your car. That ain't what you want. That's not going to cut it. You want to be noticeable. And why put signs in the yard? I know some of you are looking at this saying, hey, I'll just go online. And that we are going to do that as well. But why put signs in the yard? That's because you're going to get that drive-by traffic, that foot traffic, people walking past that might want a new situation for themselves, or maybe they know someone that wants to move into this neighborhood, close to family, close to friends. These things are real. People are going to be driving by all the time, every day, every night while these signs are up. It's like free marketing or very, very affordable marketing, right? So you want to take full advantage of that. I mean, full advantage of that. And that's why it's so important. And once you have the signs, you don't need to buy a whole bunch more unless you have a whole bunch of properties that you have to market. But once you have so many of them, you're going to have the signs sitting in your garage or somewhere in your storage. And that's what you're going to use them for over and over and over again. Okay? So, number 2. Internet marketing. Now, I don't even know how many ways to do this part, right? But I'm going to tell you what I use. Now, when I'm doing it, I'm using things like Craigslist. A lot of people don't even use Craigslist anymore. But I use Craigslist because it is a viable place. People talk about how many shysters are on Craigslist and this, that, and the other. But if you know you're not a shyster and you're giving something real, something of value, and you can vet these people that are coming in, you'll know if the person you're talking to is worth it or not, because there's a process, which we'll talk about next. There's a process. But I use Craigslist just for another thing to put out there, right? And there's a bunch of different things you can do. I put it in the zip code, I mark it in the city for that on Craigslist, right? You can figure out there's different ways for you to do it for free. You don't have to pay. You can pay if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to, right? Then there's Facebook Marketplace. I use that all the time. I look for groups inside of Facebook and I market, I put my postings inside those groups as well and say, hey, here's a lease option opportunity. Now, there's a lot of different types of groups. You have to look for those groups in your city or in the market that you're going to be marketing that property in, not just your typical real estate group. Because if you go to a group that's specifically related to real estate investors, well, you're going to get guys like me that want to do no money down deals, and that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a buyer, a person that wants to live there, right? That's what you're looking for. It doesn't mean an investor won't give you what you want. You just want to be in the right place, okay? So Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, those are fantastic places to be in. You can also use Zillow for sale by owner and put in the description, owner financing available. There's just a lot of things, and whatever else you could think of. Those are the things that I personally utilize in my business to market my lease option deals, okay? Now, I can tell you that number 1, and I'm putting it in that order, number 1 is the walk-up traffic, the drive-by traffic. I get the vast majority of my people are coming through there. Number 2 is coming through Craigslist. Number 3 is coming through Facebook. That's where it's coming from. I get some stuff on Zillow, but there's a lot of telephone calls when you're doing for sale by owner, because you only have so many places or so many ways that you can market it or list it. And for sale by owner is the one way, so you have to put in the description how you want to do it. But not everyone reads the description, so you wind up with a lot of telephone calls that frankly just aren't worth your while, right? So Zillow is not my favorite for it, although we've used it, and depending on where I'm at with that property, there's a lot of different ways that we can go with it, okay? For sale by owner financing is still really good. It's just I get the least results there, but I do get results. I get results, but I have to really sift through a lot of things that I don't want to deal with, so that you'll get realtors that are going to call you relentlessly about listing the property with them, which obviously you don't want to do. You're going to get investors that are going to call you about a quarter as much as the agents. The agents are the absolute worst, and you're going to get hit with so many telephone calls from them. It's going to make you feel some kind of way. So really, that's the last resort. Unless you have a ton of equity and a lot of flexibility on when and how you can sell it, it doesn't really make any sense. If you've only got 20 or 30,000 of equity in there, not really much to do. But if you've got a lot of equity in there, a really good position in this deal, and you don't mind selling it right now, then maybe so. Other than that, it's not the very, very best, right? All right. So your third step is going to be vetting buyers. Oops. And what does that mean exactly? Well, that means that as the phone rings, there are going to be people that are saying, hey, we want to buy this house. We want to look at the house, whatever they're going to say. But you have to be able to have a question and answer sheet available to you where you could say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Caller, this is a for sale by owner. It's going to require a down payment. How much do you have to put down? What does that look like for you? Okay. Once you've got them vetted, which is extremely important, it's only then that you set up a second appointment. Now, I use virtual assistants, so I don't have to field all those calls, because those could be a lot of telephone calls that come in a day, especially if you've got a lot of deals out there, right? So there could be a lot of calls that could be coming in. So I use a virtual assistant, a VA, to gather all this information for me so I can sift through them. And I have them send me all the calls that come in, and I can sift through them. So if I see someone that has $1,500 to put down, I know that person's not for me. That's a typical renter. I need someone that has, depending on the property, at least $3,000 to put down. Our typical down payment on an average house, which we went over in the last video, which I'll share with you right here, and our typical is about $5,000. But again, it depends on the house. If we're in a $300,000 or $350,000, $400,000 neighborhood, we're going to get substantial down payments. Those could be $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 down payments. Now, those things are, life-changing. Not necessarily life-changing, but you do 3 or 4 of those deals in a year, and boom, you've made $100,000 this year, not counting your passive income. So that's a place to be. But typically, on your average houses, the ones we actually focus on, we're looking at about anywhere between $3,000 and maybe $7,500 down. We've gotten 10 and 15. We've gotten 25. But those are the exception, not the rule. They are the exception. So typically, you're going to get, for what we do, the average house, because they're easier to pick up, $3,000 to $5,000 is a down payment. Sometimes a little bit more. And that's what you have to look for. Now, finally, the biggest part of your marketing, your fourth point, is an open house. Now, this open house, you're thinking to yourself right now, why would I possibly do an open house? That's for a property that's listed and with an agent, and they're going to have this big thing, and they're going to make it smell like cookies and have mimosas. Listen, you can actually do all those things if that's what you want to do, right? But having this open house creates energy. It creates a buzz. It creates this feeding frenzy of people. So here's how I do it. I'll have people call in. I'm marketing. Maybe I'm marketing all week, like really, really hard this week, Monday through Friday. It depends on when I get the property. I'm marketing really, really hard. I'm making sure it's out there. I'm refreshing my posts, all that great stuff. And the phone is ringing. And I'm having conversations with these people, and I'm telling them, okay, great. The open house is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. And I have the house cleaned up, and everybody comes. I'm having everybody come at the same time. Why? You might ask why. Well, here's why. Because I want them to know that this property is sought after. There are more than just you looking at this particular property. If I show the property one at a time, one, that takes a lot of my time to do, and I really value my time. 2, By taking one person at a time, they can walk away. They're not feeling like they really want to be there. But if they see that other people want something, they want it even more. That's just human nature. So you have to understand a little bit of psychology. That's just selling psychology. But so by creating that buzz, you're bringing all these people in all at the same time, and there might be 3, 4, 5 groups of people, couples, individuals, whatever the case, and they all want it. And you have to be there, and you have to be present. You can't just, it's not enough to just say the open house is from 11 to 1. You have to be there and allow people to walk through the house and around the house, answer their questions, be present, be personable, just be there. Don't be overbearing and trying to be a salesperson. Forget that. You don't want to be a salesperson. Just allow the house to speak for itself. The people that are going to want to move forward, you'll hopefully have documentation prepared that you can share with them, and then you can, give it to them, talk to them what they need to do and what their next steps are if they're ready to move forward. And then you get to pick from the best of the group. Okay? So that's how that works. Those are your 4 marketing strategies when you're dealing with your lease options, when you're marketing to get the right buyer, the right people, the right person for your projects. Because you're ultimately creating a relationship with them that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 years long, potentially. So you got to make sure they're a right fit for you. That's what it takes. So again, I'm going to put a link here. Well, I've already sent you to the last video. So here's a video again, right here, that you can watch the first video in this series. And over here, please subscribe and like. Make sure that you're engaging with me. Comment. Let me know what you like and what you don't like. If you have questions, I'd love to hear from you. So, until next week, this is your man Myles. I'll see you later.